All right, what's going on, everybody? Fatherhood Unscripted is back for another episode, and we have a special guest. He is going to be talking about his relationship with God and how that's helped him to be a great dad and a great pastor. Without further ado, welcome, Dauda Presley.
Oh man, hey, thank you guys for being up, having me up on here, man. It's a pleasure and an honor, honestly. I mean, you guys could have anybody, man, and so I pray that I give something that's worthwhile.
Definitely, we're honored to have you. I know. So, if everybody that's listening, if you don't know, DJ was actually on Dauda's show. How they came out like a month ago ish now.
About a month or two ago, yeah.
And so we've known Dauda for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months now, kind of back and forth, and just love what he's about. Wanted to have you on. Well, first off, just how's your week been? How's the summer been?
Oh man, week's been good. It's interesting, right? We always talk about week's been good, but we never talk about like the intricate aspects of things that's going on in the week, So it's like week has been as good as it can be. It's one of those deals is as you kind of go through life, life kind of brings certain things, and so like the one thing that we're really, me and my wife are pushing through a lot right now is her health. So it's one of those deals where although it's like oh, the week's been good, it's been challenging at the same time, you know what I mean? And so, but other than that, I mean, we can sit here and say God is on the throne because he 100% is, but I will also say that he's given me and my wife the strength to actually make it through the week, with our heads held high, you know what I'm saying? Knowing that, hey, this too shall come to an end at some point, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, man, it's been good, can't complain about it or whatnot, but yeah, no, man, life is life sometimes. Life is life sometimes.
Sure.
No, I definitely
Yeah.
like what you said. Just you're right. Like we'll summarize our week. Oh yeah, I guess it's been good, but we don't get into what have we actually gone through, and then we start thinking about it, you're like, man, actually, I don't know if I'm good. Like I think it was a challenging week. You ask yourself like, was it a good week? Because I remember this, and this, and I don't know. I guess I just need a lot of prayer.
For
Just pray
real,
for me,
man.
please. Yeah, so that's good. No, I like that. Just really thinking about all the stuff that you went through in the week, and really just put yourself in the moment. Because to your point, when somebody asks you how you doing, the first thing that comes out of your mouth, most times for most people, oh, I'm good. How about you? That,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you get the Christians who will say, ah, oh, blessed and highly favored. Okay, that's like okay. You're like, all right, but all right. So, and you can be blessed and highly favored. I get it, and but we just have these sayings that we say without even thinking if we're actually good.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, I definitely
We try to make
you.
ourselves feel good, about what is actually going on, and so we try to say the good words, the positive words, the speaking things out to where we kind of negate what we're going through, and you think, man, God never negates what we're going through. It's just one of those deals that our focus shouldn't solely be on what we're going through. And I think that's the part, it's like I like to ask me, like, how you doing? Like, oh man, I'm good. And it's like, well, what does good look like? You know what I mean? It's like explain, like, because my good and your good could be two different things,
Yeah.
So it's like, let me in on what your good is, And so, for me, I like to like, it was good. However, there were some challenges during the week, but it's one of those deals. If we sit here and say good and we negate the challenges, then I would say, we negate the opportunity to let somebody know how we grown through the week too. You know what I mean? So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not what you focus on for sure.
hmm Yeah, man. So
Well, I think
sometimes
that
it
can
is what
help
it.
too. Like that's a gift we can give our kids if we can open up like that and be more wordy and put more expression into things instead of just like I'm good. That's kind of what was put on us. That's why it's our go-to, you know. And so that's why as dads we're here to fix that and change things and make sure our kids ain't gonna, oh, I'm good.
Yeah. I think, we as fathers, we have the opportunity to really change the vocabulary of our children.
Uh-huh.
And being able to change the vocabulary of our children, we're able to let them know, like, okay, you can express yourself. and there's a healthy way of expressing yourself.
Mhm.
I think that's the biggest part is, we as men, when we find ourselves healthy, we're able to have the healthy dialogue, we're able to have the healthy conversations. And so then we're able to teach our children, especially our sons, what it looks like to be a healthy man of a healthy vocabulary, and looking to live this healthy life at the same time. And so knowing that, just like in life, you have moments where you might be ill, you might have surprises, you might have, breaks, and which we call breakups, whatever, we can have all these various things in life. The same thing happens in say in the mental aspect and the vocabulary, that we can actually teach our sons, our daughters, even much more our daughters, right? It's like they learn what it looks like to have a healthy man, one that's able to articulate what they're feeling, how they're feeling, and
Mm.
why they're feeling it, and also too knowing the time and place when to actually articulate those things, So yeah, no, man, you guys are spot on, bro. I love what you guys are doing, man. I love what you guys are doing, man. Is having these healthy dialogues, and these challenging dialogues too. Really getting into the hearts of men, and seeing what actually blossoms out of it. So I love what you guys are doing. Really building a community of men that's looking to be better fathers. Not perfect fathers, but better fathers. So I appreciate the work that you guys are doing, man. I mean, I know God is really utilizing you, and I've been praying for you guys, man, and hoping that the dialogues become a lot more profound, to where the men are kind of grasping, and they're like, oh man, kind of like we were talking about before, DJ. It's like, I'm not alone, and since I'm not alone and going through this right here, there's other men that I can kind of lean on, to receive something I didn't have before. So man, thank you guys for what it is you're doing as well.
Yeah, yeah, that is our biggest thing. Just
Mhm.
because we didn't even know until we started doing this, we started meeting other dads. Like, oh my gosh, I guess we're all going through very similar challenges throughout life when you add kids to the equation. And I mean, because we can all agree to this. Like when you get married, that intensifies the issues that you weren't dealing with.
Mm,
And then when you have kids, if you still didn't deal with those issues, it gets even more profound that those are there. And if you don't fix it, you're going to destroy your marriage. You're going to destroy the next generation. And then the cycle continues
yeah,
where you were broken. Now you've broken your kids, and the kids live their life broken. And then
yeah.
somebody's got to say, enough is enough. I want to live this healthy life that God has for me.
Come on, bro.
And so how do I get there? And so yeah, no, just yeah, not being alone. And we also know that if Satan can get us alone,
Mm,
he's basically won it, right? Because you'll
yeah.
Mhm.
believe everything that he tells you because you're alone and you don't have anybody to speak into your life. Well, so that's kind of why we've done things. So I appreciate the kind words, and yeah, we do feel like God is using us in that way. And I liked how you said just being that role model, the being a healthy version of yourself, so your sons know what a healthy man looks like, and your daughters know what a safe like
Mm,
place looks like for them, because you can create this unsafe environment for your kids, and they don't want to express any emotions around dad, because if you do, you don't know how he's going to react.
Mhm.
So if you want to talk through some of that, how did you get to that place of just living out a healthy life so that you are the best version you could be for your children, that best example?
man, I would sit here and say, I'm still trying. you know, I'm still looking to become that very healthier version of myself. I will say, I think some people, especially men, we don't like to ask for help. And
Mhm.
I mean, when I was in the military, man, I struggled, bro, towards the last bit of my career, and it was such a struggle to where like I lost. When we say, hey, you go through things, you get divorced, man. This is my second marriage, that I'm currently in, and man, my first one, bro, I destroyed it, bro. I was not a healthy man at all. Coming from my childhood all the way into my adulthood, you could be winning in regards to your profession, but you could be
Mm-hmm.
losing in regards to the personal aspect of who you are. And so that was my story, bro. I was winning professionally, but I was losing, personally. And so it was one of those deals, man. Counseling, bro. To be honest with you, I think I was in therapy for about 3 years, and and I learned a lot about myself, and then even much more just about like the thought, the actual like thought process of just how we think as people. You know, I would sit there and say, you know, my therapist, man, she was very she was intentional in what she was doing. You know, she actually talked to me and told me like, okay, this is why we're doing this. So I would sit there and say that the Lord blessed me with having a therapist that was like really um intimate with everything, and then also too, she was explaining everything as she went. And the best part about it was she was a believer too. So you think being in the military, getting a military therapist, and a Christian too, bro, like you just don't get that. You know what I mean? And so I knew that, you know, kind of coming out of it, looking back, you know, in the midst of it, had no idea. Looking back on it, I'm like, you know what, God, like you were actually after the mental health of me, you know, even when I wasn't, you know. And so it was just one of those deals that, you know, as I kind of really begin to heal, you know, and really begin to understand my thought patterns, you know, my emotional stability and instability at the same time, you know. As I was coming into that, it was one of those deals where I was learning how to be a better father. You know, of course, at first I was like, you know, son's cries like, you know, why are you crying? You shouldn't be crying, you know, kind of man up if you would, you know. And then I learned, you know, no, it's actually a healthy thing for my sons to be able to cry, you know, and me allow them to cry, you know, and then kind of come and hug him and kiss him on the forehead, you know. I mean, you're talking, you know, my sons, you know, our youngest son, today's actually his birthday, so I'm not sure when this airs, but man, today's is actually his birthday. And so it's one of those deals where, you know, being able to hug him, and here he is 23 and I'm able to kiss him on his forehead. You know, our oldest is 27, hug him, kiss him on his forehead, and say, I love you. You know, and it's one of those deals where they're not like thrown off by it. You know, our middle son, you know, he's what, 25, hug him on his forehead, kiss him. And it's like, they're like, I kiss them on the forehead. I'm like, I love you. You know, as I'm holding their face and looking at them like dead square in the eyes, you know, it's like, I love you. I'm so proud of you. You know, and it was there where I learned that, you know, being able to show, especially my sons, um, what it looks like to love on your sons in a healthy manner, to where they feel safe, they feel heard, and even much more, they feel seen, you know. And so it's one of those deals that when you have all those come together, you know, you're able to create an environment that you never thought was possible, you know. And honestly, I mean, you know, I would say, man, it took me failing, you know, a bunch of times, you know, but even much more, having other men around me, that spoke into my life to help me become just a better man for myself. And it was there that I learned to be a better father. I think me and you, DJ, we talked about it on the show, is you know, I grew up without a father, so I didn't know what it was like to be a son. And here I am, a father. And I think that's where a lot of the struggle is that we become fathers before we became a son. Because some of us never knew what it was
Oh,
like to be a son to a father.
that's
We
good.
may have known what it was like to be a son to a mother, which is totally different. But being a son to a father, man, that's something that we all need, especially as men, you know. And so it was one of those deals that, you know, God began to put people and men in my life, to really help me develop, as a man. And so you think, now I have a spiritual father, man. His name is Steve, and I love him to death, bro. And he's like, I think he's about to turn 70, right? He's been married longer, almost as long as I've been alive, you know. And I'm 46, and here he is. He's almost been married that long. He's been walking with God, like as almost as old as I am, you know. And even having him in my life, he's taught me how what it looks like to be a man of humility
Mm,
and of true humility, you know. And that began to just kind of just really just flood into, how I am as a man, how I am as a husband, and how I am as a father. And so it's just interesting, is that's how it kind of went, bro. It's like, you know, I failed first, unfortunately, you know. And that doesn't have to be the story for all men, because of like what you guys are doing here. You know, somebody can grab this and it's like, you know, from whatever show you guys do, and it's like, oh man, you know what? I was thinking about doing that. You know, this guy is saying, hey, I tried it and it failed. It's like, I may not want to do that, you know. And so it was just one of those deals. I think, um, if we were to if we look at the men that we have around us and we take something from each one, um,
mhm,
I believe that when we do that, the Lord allows us He's building us from the community that we find ourselves in, you know. And I think that's the part. We as men, we always do this lone wolf thing. We always say I'm a warrior and stuff, but I mean, I dropped the warrior thing and picked up I guess you could say the word of soldier, you know, because warriors is someone who fights for themselves. So when you fight for yourselves, you're going to damage everybody else. And so you think when I was kind of coming up as a young father and even older, I was a warrior father, right? And so I was kind of damaging my children. But then when I picked up this, and I understood the difference between a warrior and soldier, even being in the military for 20 years, it's like it was one of those that I still, it didn't click, right? And and when it did, it was because I looked at the definition, and soldier is one that fights for the masses. The soldier is the one that's about community. The soldier is the one is humble. The soldier is the one that's about the preservation of everyone else. A warrior is one that's about his self-preservation. And
Hmm.
so when I began to look at that, I was like, you know what? Do I want to create my sons to be warriors, or do I want to create them to be soldiers? And it was one of those deals that when I did it, I learned a soldier also has compassion. And I learned a lot more how to be compassionate to my son. So yeah, man. I know it's a whole bunch of so much more, but
No, it's good, and I think it's funny you say that because like there's so many. We were talking with this with a Joe from I Love You Bro Project a couple weeks ago. Like just the negativity people put out in the world when they don't even think about it. Like there's so many warrior spirits or like I gotta be a warrior mentality in the world, and like you just said, like people don't think through that and see what it actually means. I'm just doing everything for myself at the end of the day. Like that's not what we're about. Like we're building our community, and that's exactly what we want it to be. Where we want to surround ourselves with men that are like that, versus men who are like, "Oh, I'm top alpha dog, man." You know, like we're okay. Like if we want to come alongside Jesus and be like Jesus, he wept. Like I don't think there's like a lot of people don't understand that. You know, like well, it's girly to cry. Like no, it's not. Like it's healthy, and it's going to show your kids a healthy lifestyle. And no, I love that soldier thing. We're gonna have to use that somehow. Yeah.
for for real, bro. I mean, you think that's the part, you know, we all see the movie Braveheart. We all see these various movies, like, you know, it's like it's warrior, and it's like,
Mhm.
but when you go to the gospel, Paul, he begins to he's like, oh, well, let's look at the armor of a Roman soldier, not warrior,
Mhm.
a Roman soldier. And he's like, yeah, and guess what? A soldier is not concerned about civilian affairs. He's only concerned about the one who enlists him. So you think even in the gospel, you start really seeing this word pop up over and over and over again. And if God is saying it, then there has to be something for us as men to kind of grasp on too.
Hey guys, before we keep going, I want you to take a second and think about this. My emotions don't make me weak. They make me aware. That's what we're talking about today. It's not about shutting down how you feel. It's about understanding it so you can lead your family well. So you can be the soldier your kids need, not just a warrior fighting for yourself. If this is hitting home for you, make sure to subscribe and don't miss these conversations. And share this with another dad who needs to hear it. Let's keep growing together.
Yeah, definitely. And just it reminds me of something, and this just popped in my head. But like, you know, you ask somebody, yeah, I would 100% to die for my family.
Mm,
But then you ask them, are you willing to live for them though?
mm.
Because dying is one moment. Living for them is multiple moments over and over and over again. And it's you choosing them, and it's you prioritizing them, and it's you valuing them. Are you willing to choose them every day? And I feel like the warrior just wants to go out and wants to go fight, and he's willing to die. He doesn't care, you know? And the soldier's looking out for everybody around them. Like, I want to live. Like, I want to help defend you. I want to help, like, protect you. I want to live. And, yeah, I just something that popped in my head. Like, I heard somebody say, are you're willing to die for them, but are you willing to live for them?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
A couple things that you said too, I just wanted to highlight. You said your therapist talks to you through your thoughts. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, your thoughts are what you focus on, right? So if you think
Uh-huh.
to yourself as you're driving into work, you spill your coffee on your lap or whatever, this is how my day's going to be. It's just going to be bad. So everything from that moment on that actually points or actually proves you right, you're going to see because that's what you're focusing on. It's what your thoughts are focusing on. And if you're constantly negative about yourself, I'm a terrible dad, I'm this, I'm that, what is your focus is going to be right on those things. And that's why the Bible says to take every thought captive,
Yeah.
you know? Like, is this coming from God or is this coming from my flesh? I need to go to God and say, okay, God, how do you see me? And that's what my focus needs to be on. And you talked about that too, the focus, right? Focus not being on your situation, but let's focus on what God is doing. Let's just like, on the water, let's just, well, he just lost focus, right?
Yeah.
He stopped looking at Jesus and he fell into the water. What happened? Just stay focused on me. That's all God's saying. Like, just stay focused on me. I got you. Where you are short, like you fall short, and where you will. And you talked about failure. You will fail,
You
no
will.
doubt. It's what you do with that failure. Do you learn from it or do you let it define you? Because if you let it define you, then that's how you're going to be for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then another thing you said, just emotions and kind of where they're coming from. I remember one time I was at a front desk. I was working front desk. This is my early on in my career in hospitality. And this guy said to me, "What's so funny?" Because I had smart. He was way drunk, and it was just funny to me. Okay, so I couldn't help myself. My facial expression showed that this situation is hilarious.
Right.
And so I smirked. He's like, "What's so funny?" And I went from having this like humor to all of a sudden my blood pressure rose, and I
Mm.
felt this anger, and my whole dynamic changed. And so I asked myself, like, okay, I don't I don't know where this is coming from. Once I realized that my dad said that to me, "What's so funny?" And he said it in an angry tone. From that moment on, when somebody says that to me, it immediately triggers this emotion, this little DJ that, felt this, and it, caused me to have the emotion that I did. And so, like, one last thing, like, the one thing somebody said to me is emotions are like the check engine light. When you're
Mm.
driving your car and the check engine light comes on, that usually tells you to go get your car checked. That's like
Mhm.
emotions. When emotions happen, you have to stop and ask yourself, what's going on with me? Is it about this moment or is it about something else? And so I don't know if you want to talk about that further, like as you started to learn about your thoughts and like as you started to go through this, like how did you stop yourself in moments and learn from those and just kind of dive into it and say, okay, I got to get to a healthy spot. I don't know where this is coming from, but I got to figure it out.
Yeah, no. So I love what you said, and there's something that you there's a word you said, and my therapist talked about it, and I tell this to people, quite often is the emotion of anger, right? Um, the way that my therapist explained to me was anger is not an emotion. Anger is an outward expression of a true emotion, right? And so what happens is when we feel like you said, hey, man, I felt my blood pressure going up. Because the thing is, like, I walked around as a what we call an angry man. You mean like, man, dude, I was that I had a short fuse for everything, bro. Like I have this one. We had my wife can tell you this one story, but she'd be like, "Oh my gosh!" And it happened in the valet of Excalibur, not towards her, but towards somebody else, right? Short fuse I had. But glory to God, man, he's been so good. Like now my fuse is much longer than what it was. But the thing is that anger, the way it was explained to me was anger is not a true emotion. Anger is an outward expression of a true emotion. So like for instance, you were like, hey man, when you kind of thought about what was going on, why did my blood pressure go up? You're like, you know what? It was a younger DJ. And so the thing is that it was like, well, did you feel disrespected? Did you feel unsafe? Like, did you feel was like because you were hurt before? Like, so like all of that is actually now anger becomes this protective measure, if you would, for ourselves to make sure we had this self-preservation, and so that was one thing that I had to learn was that, okay, because now I feel this kind of rage coming up inside of me. Okay, what's going on? Like, do I feel disrespected, and do I feel hurt? Do I feel unsafe? And so I had to begin to look at those things. And once I started looking, I was like, okay, I don't have to respond like this. And so then I was like, well, you know what? I'm not going to allow someone to cause me to act out of character, because that's not my character. So that's not who I'm looking to become. So now it became like this transcending thing that was really above me. But what I really looked at it was that, you know what? Holy Spirit was really working to give me a better kingdom character, a better kingdom character, because then I began to, like you said, begin to take every thought captive. I begin to analyze my emotions. Am I successful at all time? Absolutely not. Right. But I really try to really exemplify this on a consistent basis, so sometimes like something gets, I'll be like, well, that's kind of interesting, and so now it's like, okay, back when I say that out loud, what I'm saying to myself is, Dada, what's going on inside of you? Let's talk about this. And then now, as I begin to kind of converse with myself, then I begin to analyze the voices. Is it me? Is it the devil? Is it old voices from my past? Or is this you, God? Because when we think about it in our head, every voice sounds exactly the same. The only way that we're able to determine who is kind of like, does it match up with this right here? Does it match up with the gospel? If it doesn't match up with the gospel, then hey, I might need to reject this. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how things went, bro, as far as the analyzing of the thoughts and kind of sitting back and looking at my emotions, because now I refuse to allow my emotions to be a playground that the devil's able to get up on the seesaw and make me go up and down, be able to kind of sit there and be on a
Right.
merry-go-round going around in circles, and then be able to just swing me back and forth like, bro, I'm not my emotions and my mental is not your playground, bro. Like, so that's something that I really go after as well, bro. So yeah.
That's a cool way of looking at it.
I'm still a kid at heart, man. I'm still a kid at heart.
Yeah.
Right? And we gotta be, because that's what makes life fun, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. We take ourselves too serious, man. We'll be too serious with everybody.
Well, as we kind of come upon time here and we kind of wrap things, we couple questions. Well, first off, thank you for coming on and speaking and just pouring into men and community. Can people find you if they want to look you up?
But yeah, man. So well, first, you can always find me over at the church. So Connection Church LB. You can find us on all the various social medias and everything. And then also to our website at myconnectionlb.org. You can email me, DaudaPresley34@gmail.com. You can email the church, Connection Church, LB@gmail.com. So whichever way, man, we're here. Also too, you can contact CTN, and you can get a hold of me that way. That's a Christian Television Network. Like you talked about, I'm able to I had the pleasure of hosting a show up over there by the name of Las Vegas United. And so we're just going to see what God has in store for the future of all that as well, man. So yeah, that's how you can get a hold of me. And I love to just talk to whoever.
Awesome. Well, before we go and we just wrap things up, I did have a Bible verse I felt like kind of went with today's talk. It's Philippians 2:3-4. It says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition, but in humility, value others above yourselves." And that's kind of like the call, like what we were talking about. Instead of having that warrior mindset, you need to have a soldier mindset. Come back, show your kids your emotions, show them that we can love, that we can cry, and that's going to build them to be, especially our sons, to be better men in the long run.
Yeah.
So, Dauda, thank you.
Thank you
Again,
guys, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Much
Thank you guys.
appreciated. Yeah. And yeah, if anything has resonated with you on this episode and you're not already subscribing to Fatherhood Unscripted, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube. It goes a long way to get us in front of people who need this just like you. And so we appreciate Dauda from coming on. We appreciate the wisdom that he brought. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.